Hey guys, welcome back to Quiet Time. Quiet Moment? I've already forgotten the name of this segment, and it's my segment, so obviously I'm meant to make it. Welcome back to it. I'm your host, Jazzy Jeff, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Again, another name I didn't come up with. Today we're talking about video games, as we always do. And today, I really just wanted an excuse to talk about Metal Gear Solid 2. But instead, this is kind of going to be a discussion about favorite games, accepting your own biases, whatever the heck I want to talk about, basically. So if you listen to our podcast, which, by the way, you can search for on iTunes, Press Start to Start, or at PressStartToStart.com. I last week caved when Metal Gear Solid HD Edition bundle was on sale on Xbox Live, and I finally bought it. I've been kind of thinking about getting it, and it's funny because originally my excuse to get it was going to be, well, I haven't played Peace Walker and it's on there. But I got it for $10 without Peace Walker, so whatever the heck that means. Basically, it means I'm weak, and really weak for games that I really like. And mostly I got it because Metal Gear Solid 2 is in it, which is one of my favorite games of all time. But not to say Metal Gear Solid 3 isn't, which is kind of the point of this whole video. That Metal Gear Solid 3 I actually consider probably one of the best games. Definitely of the last generation. Well, I guess now it's like 2 generations behind. Whoa. PlayStation 2 generation. And possibly of all time. It's got everything. It's got a really cool story. There's a cat, by the way, who's been like walking across my lap this entire time, in case you didn't catch that tail. It's got, it ties in with the whole Metal Gear mythos really well. It's got a whole bunch of really fun mechanics. Its stealth is pretty much top-notch. It doesn't rely on the old vision cones anymore. It more is just entirely line of sight and camouflage that you have. It's just a great game. It's got a whole bunch of cool boss fights. But there are some things that I personally don't really like about it, that I feel Metal Gear Solid 2 does better. This is Maggie. She's the one walking across this entire time. Because she thinks I'm talking to someone and she wants to meet him. And I am. I'm talking to you. But Metal Gear Solid 2 I feel does better. It's, like the actual story I feel is, while ridiculously convoluted and complex, all makes sense. Everything ties together. It all has to do with everything. Metal Gear Solid 3 doesn't necessarily have that. The boss fights are just kind of, you don't really know who Cobra is or why they're there. They don't really seem to have much in it other than, you know, the fact that they completely obey the boss, which is still the best name ever for a boss. I really like a lot of the twists in Metal Gear Solid 2 a lot more than I do in Metal Gear Solid 3. Honestly, I'm as uncomplicated and simple as the stealth is in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. I really love that kind of stealth. I love the limited cone of vision that enemies have because, like, even though it is limited, there's still sort of this sort of hazy area around it where sometimes they might see something and then go check it out. Stuff like that. I love the ability to play around with those technicalities and things like that. But the thing is, I can accept that I'm wrong, that I might be wrong here in terms of actual game quality. For instance, someone's favorite movie might be Dumb and Dumber, but they can accept that Schindler's List is a much better movie. And I think a lot of people, when they discuss things like my favorite, tend to forget that. You know, that you may like something, it may be your favorite, for reasons that are completely inapplicable to the medium as a whole. Like, you might really like Dumb and Dumber because you and your brother watched it 1,000,000 times when you were kids and you just love quoting it with him. But, and you don't really quote Schindler's List, but Schindler's List is, like, a freaking good movie. And it's about the Holocaust, which, like, gives it, like, 12 points already. Like, a good movie about the Holocaust, you know, it's kind of different than a bad movie about the Holocaust. I don't know if I know of any bad movies about the Holocaust, actually. Oh gosh, the cats are going to start fighting in just a second. Guarantee it. So, Metal Gear Solid 2 is just amazing. I just love it. I've just been playing it all week, and I don't want to stop talking about it, and I don't want to stop playing it. It's just, the controls are so tight. All the coda conversations are either hilarious or actually character developing, even though apparently everyone else in the entire world thinks that they're just really whiny. Specifically, Raiden's are really whiny, and Rose's are like super duper whiny, but I like those characters. I like their development. I like where they go, and they all make sense compared to the giant bigger picture. And I also really like Metal Gear Solid 2 because it's really super postmodern. It's a huge commentary on video games as a medium. Like everywhere, from a main character who's been mostly trained how to do well off of video games to actually kind of directly calling out the actual player character. What player character? The actual player, like, at the end, saying, by the way, this guy sucks, and he is you. To saying, I don't know, all sorts of stuff. But I realize that doesn't necessarily make it a good game, which is what other people, you know, would look for when looking for a good game. I just think it makes it freaking awesome. Basically. And the HD edition, by the way, is pretty cool. It adds some upped textures. Like, there are things I definitely should have known, because I've played this game at least 15 times through. Possibly 20. And I definitely would have noticed if Olga had a huge scar across her face, or if Fat Man's veins on his head were that bulgy. I would have noticed this kind of stuff. And it has all the VR missions, which are super duper fun, and there are 300 million of them, although they do get kind of repetitive, because some of the characters you have to do is whatever. I just love it. And 3 doesn't have as much screw-around time as the other Metal Gears do. Like Metal Gear Solid 1, there's a specific point where you get to it and you're like, okay, I can now go anywhere in this entire game and just mess around. 2 kind of has like 2 main sections of that, and once you get past a certain point, you can't really go anywhere else and screw around. But 3, I mean, it cuts you off like constantly, and it can be kind of annoying for someone like me, who, I guess I don't really screw around in those games much anymore. But I mean, that's you know, it's another reason, and it's a lot harder. And 3 is a much harder game. It's just more difficult because you don't have radar, you don't have that cone of vision, and so it's really hard to actually move between 2 areas without getting spotted. So basically, I guess that's what I'm saying. My main point is, like, when I read debates online and stuff about what do you think is the better game, people rarely remember that how subjective this kind of stuff is. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect and, oh, check me out because I'm able to differentiate between what's good and what I like. But, you know, just keep that in mind when trying to review things. I mean, I'm not even the best reviewer because I'm too obsessed with my own biases, and it's hard for me to look at something and say whether it's my bias or whether something's actually good. But, you know, just keep that in mind, and if you like Metal Gear, like, just keep buying the games. You know, like I have. Just buy the games for every single system that you have, because that's clearly the logical best choice, and most money efficient. Have a good weekend, guys. This has been Quiet Time with Jeff. And my cats never fought. Perfect.